Good afternoon, ma'am.
And sir, before you take your seat, you raise your right hand, my courtroom is very good. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. Just gonna pour myself some water real quick. I'm parched. I'm sorry, Honor, did you
You
say?
say whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Dr. Blake.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell us what your current profession is?
Sure. I'm a police practices and human factors consultant. Have done some training in the past. I have my own company called Blake Consulting and Training. Actually, should probably cut that training portion off. I don't do that as much anymore, but I do most of my time is focused on consulting in cases like this.
I know when you say police practices, what do you mean?
Police practices ranges everything that police officers do, from search and seizure to the use of force and everything in between, traffic stops, everything that police officers do. So that's what I look at. That's what I technically investigate in these type of cases, and they ultimately are what I opine upon as an end result in certain cases. In others, I focus on the human factors aspect specific to policing and critical incidents.
What are human factors?
Human factors, interesting area of looking at performance. So human factors essentially, succinctly, is kind of looking at human capabilities and limitations within a system. So we've got the capabilities and limitations of an individual person, human being. When I talk about system, I'm talking about the organizational system that those people perform within in any given situation. So it could be a nurse in a surgery center. It could be a pharmacist. It could be a mining operation. It could be a policing situation, which is where my focus is. But human factors is focused in a wide range of areas. It has all types of different specialty areas, scientists, researchers, people with varying degrees in different areas such as psychology primarily, and also engineering. I'm clearly not on the engineering side, I'm on the psychology side. So I'm focused on that area.
All right, let's start with your background in police practices. Were you ever a law enforcement officer?
I was a law enforcement officer for about 14 years.
Tell us about your law enforcement experience.
So after I got out of the military, I joined the Department of Energy as a security police officer at Lawrence Livermore Labs in California. That job it's a law enforcement job. We were granted limited powers of arrest and we carried firearms. A little bit different job though. Our primary focus was the safety and security of the installation and the people. And as I was there, I joined what's called a special response team. And their responsibility is kind of a quasi counterterrorism because those labs have certain materials that need to be protected. So our primary task in that area was the recapture and recovery of special nuclear material is what it's called. And, I stopped there. After that, I did a couple years there, and then I went on to the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit Police Department, obviously in San Francisco, California, and the surrounding areas. Obviously went to a police academy, a state police academy for that. Worked there for several years on patrol in several different jurisdictions. It covered a lot of geographical areas. And then from there, I went on to the Livermore Police Department, where I spent the majority of my sworn law enforcement career. Did a lot of tasks and duties there that are typical with law enforcement. I worked patrol, SWAT, did gangs, narcotics, was a field training officer, a lot of the things that you've heard from a lot of witnesses so far. After my time there, I went on to, I actually got injured on the job and ended up not being able to return. I wanted to stay in law enforcement, so I ended up going to what's called the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, which is near where Livermore was. Ended up working there in their regional training center as a civilian trainer, and I focused there on use of force in the force option simulator program that they had there. And I think you've heard some information about that from Mr. Bartel yesterday. But that's that simulator with the video and the ability to use replica weapons that have lasers on them and interact with the screen. Very interesting job for me, because during that time I was moving through the education process. I've always been interested in this area of human factors, but especially applied to policing. But as I was able to do that job, I was able to watch performance in simulated situations. And I would see what happens to people when they operate under stress. I would see when we would debrief them after a scenario, maybe what they didn't remember, what they didn't perceive, or they misperceived. So I was able to kind of apply that scholar practitioner kind of hat in being able to not only have an academic basis, but I was also just observing for that information as I was going through these scenarios. And then after that, that's when I left law enforcement as being employed in any fashion.
Do you hold any law enforcement instructor certifications? If you could just list them.
Yeah, sure. The law enforcement instructor certifications included, I'm a firearms instructor. These are California Post certified. So it's the equivalent of MCOLs. You've heard that terminology. We have that same thing in California. So they certified people to be firearms instructors, which I was. Force option simulator, which I did. I was an instructor in reality-based training. That was through a separate company. I was a field training officer, so that's an instructor certification. There's more, but I keep forgetting them.
It's okay, we can move on.
Yes.
Have you attended any use of force or officer-involved shooting trainings?
Yes, and I'm hoping to get this out. It's the Robert S. Presley Institute of Criminal Investigations Officer-Involved Shooting Investigator course. That's provided through CalPost. That's the only officer-involved shooting class, but I've had other training in the area.
Do you maintain memberships in criminal justice-related organizations?
I do, several. Academy of Criminal Justice Science, which is more on the academic side. So that's an organization that looks at what's going on in policing. They conduct a lot of research and publish journals associated with that. So I keep current through that. I'm also a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, also the Association of Force Investigators, which is a kind of a national organization focused on looking at use of force. And then lastly, the California Force Instructors Association, which is state specific, but we have some international international folks that are members. And again, we're focused on training trends and training information in police use of force.
Have you ever taught criminal justice at any higher institutions?
I have. I was a criminal justice professor at 2 community colleges, basically taught intro to criminal justice courses, and also in those positions I actually also functioned, because those community colleges there, like here, oversee police academies. So by being hired as an adjunct criminal justice professor, I had a dual ability to teach in the police academy there, which I did.
Okay, and have you taught police officers about safety and tactics, police procedures, or use of force and officer-involved shootings? Have you done all those and shared your education with members in the field?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now I called you doctor. You're not a medical doctor.
No, don't like
Okay,
that confusion.
but you have a doctorate and you have a master's. Please tell the jury what your master's is in and your doctorate.
So my master's degree is in psychology. I did a thesis focused on police use of force. So the actual research project was looking at decision-making and reaction time in fatigued and non-fatigued states, basically. So that research project had to be completed in order to get the master's degree. And then my doctoral degree is in performance psychology. Again, focused a lot of my research during that time, focused on police critical incidents, police use of force. My doctoral dissertation was an application of what's called the human factors analysis and classification system to law enforcement shootings. That was, again, a little bit over a year-long research project. Did a lot of interviews and a lot of digging into archival data to complete that project in order to get the doctorate.
Okay. Now, you've heard some of the testimony in this case.
I believe I heard almost all of it.
Okay, and we heard from Dr. Kroll yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Okay. He talked about peer-reviewed articles. I'm not going to go through what that means, but do you have any peer-reviewed articles that are related to your field of study?
I do. I have 9, I think the total is right now. I published the one master's degree thesis project in a peer-reviewed journal. Done some research on firearms reaction time, some case studies on police shootings, and looked at force option simulators. As a lot of research has been done, so we did basically a systematic review to look at how those things, what research has been conducted and where we need to go in the future and what's been found up to this point.
Okay, and do you maintain any memberships related to human factors?
I do. I'm a member of the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society, which is an international organization that's focused on that area of science. They also publish 2 journals that I also receive through them. And then I'm also a member of the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society Forensic Professionals Technical Group. Now that's the portion, the arm or branch of the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society that focuses on kind of what we're doing here, looking at and investigating incidents and accidents in different fields, applying human factors, and ultimately maybe ending up in a courtroom like this.
Have you taught human factors to law enforcement officers or executives, attorneys, others in the field?
Yes, I have. After I left, well, actually kind of overlapping with my tenure at the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, I also was a kind of subcontracted to a company called Human Performance Training Institute. And there we did teach a course across the nation that looked at all these human performance factors. We went through some of the science. We talked about and taught the application of the science to these type of incidents, use of force incidents, to include officer-involved shootings.
Okay, and then you said you were a consultant, you have a consulting company. Can you name some of the organizations that you've consulted for in relation to police practices and human factors?
Yes, I've consulted with the California Department of Justice, the United States Department of Justice. I've consulted with the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. I've consulted with several prosecutors' offices in the state of California, as well as defense attorneys in both. And then there's a difference between civil and criminal litigation. So also plaintiff and defense attorneys in the civil litigation world.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense tenders Dr. Blake as an expert in the field of human factor psychology and police practices.
Thank you, Vladimir, Your Honor.
Okay. Was the psychology in police practices or and?
Now, it's human factor psychology, and then also a separate police practice.
So an expert in those 2 fields is what you're requesting?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just want to make sure, because you kind of now 2 things. The report I got was a human factor psychology draft report. That's a report you prepared.
Yes, sir.
It was a human.
I mean, I'd need to see what you have there, but it sounds like, sure. That looks like it, yes.
And it's titled Human Factor Psychology. It wasn't
Yes.
anything with use of force at that point in time, but now we're going into that as well.
I don't think that he tried to certify me as an expert in use of force.
Oh, that's what he just did.
No.
I thought it said police practices.
Police practices, okay. Going into human factor psychology, there are 21 identified and recognized specialties in the American Psychological Association. Human factors is not one of them, is it?
No, it's not. I think there's a section, so you're talking about all the sections. And I was previously a member of the APA. They do have a performance psychology section, which is very closely related.
There's a police and public safety one, right?
Yes.
And you're not a member of that.
No.
There's a behavioral and cognitive psychology. That's another one, but you're not a member of that.
No, sir.
There's like 50 divisions in the APA you can join, and human factors psychology is not one of them.
No, it's not. As I stated, human factor psychology is a umbrella area of science that's made up of people from various different backgrounds in psychology and other fields.
So you're not licensed to practice psychology anywhere in any state, are you?
Well, wait a minute. A licensed psychologist is completely different
That's what
than.
I just want to make it clear for the
Yeah,
jury.
okay.
Just wanna make
So
it clear.
a licensed psychologist is somebody who practices clinical psychology and diagnoses people with maybe a mental disorder. I do not, that's a completely separate field.
And that's why I want to make sure, because you sort of said psychology, we want to make it clear, you can't counsel anyone, you're not licensed to counsel anyone, that's not
No,
anything
sir.
that you do.
No, sir.
Now, Michigan Tech has an undergrad program in human factor psychology.
Okay.
I looked it up and it said human factor psychology focuses primarily on the interaction between people and machines. They make technology work better with humans. That was their definition. It sounds like you're much broader than that, is what you're saying.
Well, there's several definitions. I think if you look at the Human Factors and Ergonomic Society website, you'll find a definition that's closer to what I described.
Well, once again, going to the American Psychiatric Association, they talk about a career in human factor psychology. They talk about jobs where using a hands-free telephone to make a call while driving makes it less dangerous. That's one of the things you can do with human factors.
Yeah, and it's exactly pertinent to what I wrote in my report about attention, divided attention, perception. That's fundamental aspects of that field.
Other top jobs include architecture and design firms, how to build designs that will operate and how people interact with building layouts.
Yeah, again, all of that is safety focus. So warnings, designs, labels. There's been comments on for instance, comments on the taser that it's designed like handguns. Therefore, it's prone to error. People are police officers mistaking tasers for handguns or vice versa. So the field is very, you are correct.
Now, in terms of that, you're not certified, the Board of Certification Professionals, you're not, sorry.
No, I can tell you why if you care to know.
One of the reasons why
It actually, that's correct. Not my undergrad, but my graduates. And the reason why the field of human factors, like lots of fields, has focus, has changed their focus in contemporary topics. One of the contemporary topics is what's called UX, user experience. It's very involved in computers, and that type of thing. Human capabilities and limitations associated with functioning with computer programs and all those. Some of the required courses can be board certified associated with those things. And quite honestly, I'm not interested in those courses. I'm not going to go work in that field. So I didn't interest in it any longer.
Why? Because the mission is to protect public professionals by assessing standards of competency and advocate the value of certification. You don't certify as
Not everybody's board certified. There's medical doctors that you can get board certification. And I'm not a psychologist that you get board certification.
You're undergraduate Union Institute of Cincinnati.
Correct.
That was closed in 2019, right?
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that.
Actually, no, I didn't know.
You're aware that Union Institute is not how you so many police officers took the classes that are online. Actually, I intend in person to a portion of classes. A portion, just other than online. So that's kind of more normative thing. We're there at the Ohio Board of Regents, where unions back in 2002, I'm talking unions who witnessed the lack of academic structures sufficient to produce a minimum of academic achievement among graduates. No, it's not. And even at the institute, you're not getting nothing to do with human factors or criminal justice management. Absolutely. Which was designed to advance careers of law enforcement personnel to supervise and manage executive positions. Correct. So, your master's degree was Kaplan University. Correct. Kaplan was a for-profit university. I believe so, yes. The for-profit part. So now that's not instituted by Purdue, correct? That's my understanding. We're aware that 2012 Senate, United States Senate, Committee on Altercation and Labor, produced a report saying students are academic equality by filing school, state, and federal agencies regarding the level of education. No, they vigorous. I did quite a significant and detailed thesis, and that doctors from other colleges who were on board who certified my thesis. So I thought it was a rigorous program. You thought it was a rigorous program, but part of the thing that happened was going to that and being web-based academic program, allowing you to tailor your own curriculum, playing classes, study time, figure out how you can get your own thing. Well, that's true. I don't know what that first was good, but I had a structured schedule like any other college. I'd sign in, watch the instructor, I'd complete the assignments online, and multiple papers, research projects that had to be completed, and I had to complete the thesis of the observation of a doctor in the field. So again, I thought it was rigorous. We were aware that Kaplan was sued by the state of Florida back in 2014 for engaging in unfair assessment practices related to student recruitment about job placement and accreditation. They settled out of court for $1.3 million. This is the degree. Nope. Complaints like that shows that too easy to do psychology about times like Microsoft Paint. No. I am a little veteran, but I don't call that. No. You tested that study. No. You thought hard. They studied hard saying it was basically too easy at Kaplan. Okay. They have studied. As a report on graduate complaints about misconduct and legal practices at Kaplan schools. You're not aware of that? No. We also talked about Human Resources Training Institute. That's you taught it, but that's not a degree. That's correct. I just want to make sure of that. But that was that was training law enforcement, aviation personnel now. The boss in the company was a former West Point professor who taught and did a lot of human factors applications in the aviation field in the military. So he started that company, and I came in there. I got a company that we started free for law enforcement. Well, so it's changed since then. All right. So started that when you came in, what's in law enforcement? No. They had an aviation component because human factors came from aviation primarily. So this I just call him the boss. The boss came from that world and opened his company, and he kept that portion, and he also taught human factors law enforcement. I came in there. Okay. Now, just your doctor is trained in university? Correct. Now, what I had is a doctorate in performance psychology is qualitative or quantitative. I saw two different ones when I looked at University.
Well, qualitative and quantitative research methods, I do believe, I think I looked at the website, it is recent.
Yeah, they separate out two of them.
Yeah.
Separated out two.
No, because at the time, they didn't have that.
So
You had a choice, you had a choice while you were going, it's really focused on the doctoral presentation as to whether you want to go down the quantitative route, use those research methods, or you want to use the qualitative route.
Okay, so qualitative route, so you do more than qualitative route.
Well, I didn't take that program didn't exist. My dissertation is in fact using qualitative methodology.
But if you're looking at the website, qualitative, talking about practices intended to improve weight performance, use some strategies with goal setting, enhancing work output, how to improve working research, that's what they describe qualitative doctoral program.
And I don't remember the description in but that's not the program I went to, is all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, in anticipation of preparing a report, you use some material related to this case.
Yes, sir.
And that includes a lot of videos you're seeing.
Yes.
Some GRP policies and training materials.
Correct.
You reviewed Dr. Becker's experts reports.
Yes.
And you have heard, and you said a lot about the testimony.
Yes.
And obviously prior to listen to the testimony, you prepared a report.
I did.
Okay, and you're aware that was Mr. Becker.
Yes. I according to what you showed me. Yes.
And based on that, you've been able to form some opinions that are relevant to this case.
I have.
And also have observed and have a response to some of the news of Dr. Becker's experts as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're aware that the prosecution has actually provided an opinion. And this is Professor Snowden and Mr. Bloomfield. And their opinion was that in stressful environments, human decision makes not suffers. Officers may experience distorted sensory perceptions, including visual distortions, for example, tunnel vision, auditory distortions, for example, auditory blunting, and temporal distortions, perceiving events occurring more quickly or more slowly than they actually are. You're familiar with that statement by Professor Snowden and Bloomfield.
I am.
You agree with that?
Absolutely. That's what the research shows. I think that statement is actually himself in the book.
Okay. And so you've listened to the testimony, you heard that Professor Snowden and Mr. Bloomfield indicated that they started to talk about that they had considered, for example, auditory distortions.
Yes.
Okay, and when they did the report, you also heard at least Bloomfield say that he's not an expert in that field.
Correct.
Okay. Did you also hear that they had an opinion that no reasonable officer could have heard, for example, a second cartridge go off in this case?
Yes.
Would not have occurred. Okay. So I'd like to talk about that. In particular, this idea of auditory distortions. And we talked a little bit about auditory exclusion. Can you tell the jury what auditory distortions are?
Well, so it's auditory exclusions is what we'll talk about. And basically we're talking about, in general, it is a failure, temporary loss of hearing, failure to hear under acute stress. That's the general consensus from all course literature. And when I say law enforcement, I'm talking about the trade itself. That's how it's talked about. We can move over to the academic world and look at research, and now we start seeing more information that is consistent with what law enforcement believes. And so we have research that is primarily, there's some research in an area called intimate deafness, which is focused on cognitive load. Again, failure to hear under cognitive load usually is a task, and the failure to hear is an alarm. But that research is very similar. The concept is very similar because cognitive load is a stressor. You're under stress, you're having to work hard. So they're the same thing. I got
auditory exclusion, fine, you would start talking about cognitive load. Are there other certain conditions that you associate with auditory exclusion?
Sure. Stress, cognitive load, and attention are the big things.
Okay, so let's go with stress first. Since most people know what stress is. That we're talking about in connection with conditions that are associated with auditory exclusion.
Yes. Stress. It's the capability and demand. That's a big thing. The capability of the human, the demand of whatever system is, whatever the task is, and your perception of the ability to deal with that. So it's those three things that are going to kind of fundamentally be the foundation of stress.
Okay. Cognitive load. We started talking about it, but what do you mean by cognitive load?
Cognitive load is psychology where, to make it simple, we're just looking at, once again, how difficult task is. Again, it's the stress, how difficult a task, how complex is it time compressed? Is there a lot of things to pay attention to, a lot of things to respond to? Your brain is under a lot of load, and it has a limited ability. You think about it like a RAM and a computer. Your computer only has so much storage, so much ability to function at a certain speed, and once you pass that, you kind of go funk. So think of the brain like that. There's only so much information you can take in and process, respond to it in a certain time.
Okay, so the information is coming in and brain like a computer, you can only handle so much. Sure. Okay. Now you also mentioned focus and attention. What do you mean by that? So in psychology, we have something called the spotlight of attention. So that's one way of looking at it. If you think about looking around the room, as I scan the room, I look at one person, jury box. I can get a lot of detail about that individual. I can tell you what they're wearing, what the writing is on their shirt, the tag on their shirt. But details over here are absolutely, I know you're here, but I can't tell you anything about foreign information. As a matter of fact, it's likely the lab of the person I may be looking at and focused on. I know there, I might know the colors they have, but the detail much less. So, it's very easy to do that, just looking around the courtroom and focusing on one person, but trying to discern a little bit of information just to the right or left, and incrementally go out, and you realize quickly that as you move out to the freeway, you're fixated, you get less information. So these are the sort of conditions that you associate with auditory exclusion.
Yes, in the sense that what I was describing there was visual attention. So auditory attention, again, you're listening for something, you're much more likely to pick it up. If it's an unexpected noise, especially in a complex environment, or in a noisy environment, even still, or you're focused on another area with all your attention resources, be it visual or otherwise, certainly you may not pick up that information.
Okay. And so you saw Mr. Bloomfield's testimony, and he provided an opinion where he considered auditory exclusion, and he also provided by an opinion that said that the event issue here was not the type of stressful situation where one could suffer auditory exclusion or one. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why not?
If you look at the police literature, and even go into the research, there's multiple studies in there. You find that this is exactly the situation. The type of event, being an officer-involved shooting, that officers report habitually, hundreds of them, having either dimmed audible information or not hearing anything at all. Not only that, but that's also not I mentioned earlier the scholar practitioners. This is also what I've seen in all these scenario-based environments that I've trained officers in. They don't hear the gunshots. They don't hear radio traffic. When the siren going, when the drive 100 miles an hour to point A to point B. And they're involved in all these tasks that are sucking attention and sucking that RAM, that available space, that's available process information. And they're not picking up details they're not listening for, or details that it's unexpected because they're so focused on something else.
Okay. And so you agree with the and obviously no one knows someone right? And my question to you is this the type of condition where it's possible auditory exclusion could apply, and in relation to the information you reviewed, do you think that it's possible that Officer Schurr experienced this condition of auditory exclusion?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Basically, just or basically repeating what I said. That look at this incident and think about what were the intentional demands of the officers he went through this process, and what were the intentional demands when that taser went off. He was fighting. He was going on to different things he's already discussed. But clearly, I see that as a rapidly evolving, complex situation, significant stress. That sound, that noise was already, the sound was a little bit dimmer than what it usually is. Taser instructor, so that's something I'm very familiar with. And so it wasn't as loud as what it normally would be. When that taser went off, he was in the middle of, it occurred at the same time he was speaking. So that's another reason, when you're yelling something, a noise somewhere else during all this stuff may not be heard.
Okay, and if you watch that video, there's a suggestion that Officer Schurr stopped in the middle or is there anything else about that particular point in the video that suggests that maybe it's not, he just happened to heard something of another condition that could have been applied?
Well, after the shooting, he gets on the radio, and he's unable to completely assess. He starts saying 1915, sending, and I think there's a long pause, more unity. We're out on shooting, something like that. There's a pause there. So is it possible that while when that went off, that he just couldn't access it because he's not oxygen, couldn't breathe?
Even if his ears comprehend this now, would you expect a human being in this situation to engage in analytical thinking about the significance of that taser pop?
No. Well, analytical thinking is when you have that time to go from one step to the next step, simulate, talk about, think about what can we do next, what would be the outcome of that. Whereas when you're in a situation like that, you're kind of relying on local heuristics. You're matching patterns and cues and information best you can under current conditions. And as you're flowing through this, I just lost train of thought. That's hard. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Well, I actually have more, but I break down that one.
Sure.
Let's start with what is heuristics?
Heuristics are basically patterns. We develop patterns from our experiences. So knowledge sharing experience as we come up through our lives, we start learning details about people, places, and things. And we store that knowledge. And when we recognize a similar pattern, we may make very rapid, sometimes implicit decisions about that information, and then make decisions based on that. And it works for us most of the time pretty well.
Okay, and you're talking about what the brain does, it's sort of psychology and analytical thinking and the situation. And I don't know if Mr. Andrews or not, but is it your opinion that a human being in this situation necessarily be observing all the information stimulus informed through your ears, that they would understand what's going on, even if they heard.
Yeah, and that's where we're going with that. That's an analytic process. You're kind of responding very quickly to the information, and you hear noise while you focus attention on all these other things rapidly. I can grab this, I can control that. I'm trying to maintain my balance. That's asking a lot more attentional resources. Then, so you may not you may not have heard it. It is common in police incidents similar to this, not hear or see or recognize the situation as what it was in the moment.
All right, so I'd like to move on to I like to call split-second decision. I don't think that's a medical term, right?
No.
But perception reaction time, including movement time. Can you tell us your perception reaction time is?
Yes, so when we talk about the moment, the time when a stimulus presents itself, meaning something that I need to respond to, like a red light on the wall. I'm told I need to push a button, the red light lights. So that's the stimulus. So there's a time between the stimulus presentation and my first movement. And this is going to be weird, but that's actually reaction time. You haven't moved yet. That's all mental process time that's going on. You're recognizing the stimulus. You're deciding what to do. You're selecting an option. In this case, you already have that select for you. And then, beyond that, when you start to move, to push that button, so figure you have to start like this, light comes on, there's going to be a delay, and then I'm going to start to move. As soon as I start to move, reaction time's over. Now I'm in the movement time mode. However long it takes me to move my hand here, push left. So task and complexity, and there's all kinds of issues that are potentially going to slow down that initial perception reaction time. On the back end, the movement time portion, also the tasks and the complexity. For instance, it's not just a button, or I have to reach down and grab a firearm and disengage detention mechanisms, draw, aim, fire. That's going to obviously take a long time because there's more involved in the process.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. An example that you're seeing many times. There's a still shot, in this case, of the moment the casing of the bullet that was used by Officer Schurr is coming out of the gun. You've seen that? So that's a moment in time.
Correct.
Can you tell us what is that moment in relation to perception, reaction, and movement time?
That's well after perception, reaction, movement time that has occurred.
Okay, so that time period, perception, reaction, and movement is completed at the moment that's already out there.
It had, yes.
So, the function of all this is there's time that it takes to actually make something happen, right? Perceive it. And then your body has to do certain things about it. And you got to talk about pushing the red button. In a controlled environment, you actually study this where you figure out what's the fastest somebody that go from reception and movement?
We have looked at that, the hand study I talked about earlier. But I think what you're getting to is yes, there are studies out there that have done similar experiments, and they look specifically at that reaction time of the time you can't see, because they're looking at the moment of when the stimulus started, when the person started moving. So it's the time between things. There's no simplistic there's cognitive processes going on. That time period in studies involving firearm withdrawals is about 250 milliseconds, and that's between two studies, I think.
Okay, 200 milliseconds, break that down, that's less second.
It's a quarter of a second.
Is this where we get the term second versus minimum?
That would be correct. Yes.
And so the fastest controllable environment that someone can go from reception to movement is less second, basically a quarter of a second.
Definitely less. Yes.
And that's in a controllable environment. In a uncontrolled environment, in the real world, we're not going to move a red light. You expect that reaction time to be slow.
Again, that's that middle process, and that's a very, very simple task. You're talking 200 milliseconds. When you have the real world influences, stress, age, complexity of the task, how many things are you attending to, sales, how important is that stimulus in the environment? Is it bright or is it dim? Does it capture your attention? All those things now are going to influence whether or not you pick it up and start the process. And then again, the task complexity is a movement time portion. That is also, as I explained, going to lengthen the time. But in this particular case, it can be relatively quick as far as the total process of the reception to response time. If we're looking at the changes that occurred that Mr. Schurr testified, or Officer Schurr testified to, that may cause us to use force that he did.
Okay. So the ultimate question here, I talked about this one moment in time when the case coming out that shows the sort of publications in here. Is that reflective of when Officer Schurr made the decision to shoot?
No.
Okay. So it was sometime before that.
It has to be.
And I was thinking, yeah.
No.
All right. But you don't know exactly what that was.
No, I can only rely on what the officer said.
Now you also saw the testimony of Professor Schurr, where he said that Officer Schurr had sufficient time to give a board warning.
Yes.
Do you agree with that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Well, as I understand it, Professor Salvin assumed that the decision was made to fire the weapon when it was drawn. I don't believe that's the case, based on testimony and based on my observations. Because if you look at the video, see the weapon drawn, it gets pointed at Patrick. And then there's an additional direct command that's given. And then there's still more time after that, and changes that occur before the shot is fired. So I think it's a little totally speculative that the decision by to come out and pull the trigger made when the weapon came out of the holster. And what I see is that there's a change in the environment, in Patrick's position that is consistent with what he has testified to that elicited that decision. So that's a small period of time after last directive was given. So the decision you made after the last directive was given, that's a small period of time. So if you think if the warning is expected to be drop the taser or I'll shoot, how long did it take me to say that? Maybe a second and a half. So the immediate threat doesn't allow for that. So for that reason, I don't think that if it's feasible.
Okay, you talked about change in environment, you talked about, well, Mr. Lyoya's attorney,
I do.
and there wasn't sufficient time to give a full counsel this morning, in that particular moment.
Not my mind, no. I do. Actually, the peer review published article from my doctorate thesis, my master's. Yes.
So this is back after taking a course what we're talking about here.
Correct.
Now, but your thesis was based on, this article was based on, you lost an overwhelming amount of data, didn't you?
An overwhelming amount of data. It's been quite some time. Okay, actually, I don't, yeah. Sure, I wrote that.
You wrote that it was overwhelming the total 215 participants logged in the program. And only 53 were actually able to complete the questionnaire that you found.
Correct. Wasn't a questionnaire, but there were 53 participants.
The 215 that tried to log in. Then you made your decision on your thesis on 53 participants. And they're all supposed to be law enforcement officers.
They were.
Well, they weren't because the portion of subjects were unknown researcher. Although unlikely, it is possible that not the subjects were in fact police officers.
Wait a minute. That's you have the wrong face page on that. This is not right. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting it.
So that's so 15. I agree. Yeah. Start with 215. You might not have 53. Another 53 other law enforcement officers. You can't say law enforcement officers. Sure.
Correct.
And that's just a rigorous Catholic University master's thesis.
Well, sir, I mean, you can criticize it if you like, go and like, but ultimately, we lost a lot of data. That's not unusual in research. You lose data. Some statistics excluded. That happens. We reported on how many participants we had. We reported on results. And we sent that in a peer review publication. It was accepted for peer review publication. So, it was rigorous enough on that.
For law enforcement,
Yes.
that's the basis of all your cases. Isn't that true?
A portion, yes.
You listed all the 50. I'm going to go through police one for science. Police one again for science. Those are all police-related entities, correct?
Yes.
Fair News, Lawn Bartels. Company. You're familiar with Lawn?
I am familiar with law.
Worked with them a little bit?
No.
Not long. You didn't work with them, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Not with, yes.
You did a joint article with them.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he how you use all the California Post simulator you use.
I have no idea. No, we don't even, matter of fact, when I was there, we didn't use that simulator, so no.
Yeah, I'm looking at about 25 police on one of ours. It's the vast majority of the things you write. One of these digital media enforces investigations. That's October 19, 1.
Yeah, thank you.
That was with Mr. Scarlett, this is a bad habit.
Correct. Yes.
And you wrote an article about that experience on campus.
Yes.
How the use of force capture video misinterpreted exposing officers and agencies significant overall criminal and civil liability risk. Purpose of the RDR, right?
I don't know. It was certainly something we wrote to lead into the article, yes.
One of the things they brought up quite a bit on was the freeze frame call. He asked you about a number of times when the moment when it was shot was.
Yes.
One of the things you consider is you think the best way to view a video is frame by frame, correct?
I think that's a good method to see everything needs to be seen due to failures to see and other issues that can occur to an observer.
It shows you about this was September 21st, 2017.
I did.
You wrote this, sir.
Yes.
Correct? You wrote, investigations is not like any video should be broken down frame by frame to see and understand what occurred is the human eye is capable of picking up data at full speed.
Yes.
Those were your words.
Yeah, I stand by.
Personal experience because of the video shows hundreds of law enforcement officers and civilians. Once a frame by frame is shown, you would have taken the exact opposite of yourself. So you would advocate frame by frame.
I do advocate frame by frame. Absolutely.
Another recent article. There's over 17 article.
Yes.
This article, I'm not sure if there's you wrote people learn this information through their lifespan and training experience. This allows us to make quick, unconscious, and often correct about these people, things, right? So that's the heuristic we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. However, there are times when you make judgment decisions can't be wrong using these heuristics.
Correct.
Periodically, you're familiar with it?
I am familiar with it.
It's kind of that, for people who are not academics, it's probably something they rely on. You're familiar with it and look at it. I assume.
I do occasionally, yes.
They talk about heuristic decisions. They talk about a mental shortcut that allows individuals to make a quick decision to ask just whether to solve a problem with minimal thought, correct?
It does say that, but I think that deserves context.
They can reduce the burden of decision making, but they can also be costly to lead individuals to miss critical information or act on unjust biases. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, but it deserves context.
Justice.
Did you ask about the I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Yes.
It's a peer review journal.
Yes.
It's something I don't think it's published, it's something that's relied upon criminal justice industry. I was examining police use of force, examining the relationship between calls for services and how police force and suspects resistance. In this statement, it says research was that officers develop hunches about how suspicious an individual is, likely to have a commitment in their moral character. Do you agree with that?
Could you read that one more time? I'm sorry, quick.
The research concludes that officers develop hunches about how suspicious an individual is, likely to have a commitment in their moral character.
Sounds like you're reading results of a research article that I haven't read, so I'm not going to agree with it.
Not gonna agree with that. Okay.
Well, I have to read it because of the research.
Get the contact.
I would like yes.
If you're familiar with, this is a little bit different, criminal justice and behavior.
Heard of one, yes.
Something you peer review.
I may have read an article from there. I don't know.
In that, they talk about split second decisions. You talked a little bit about split second decisions. They say there's no time for considering an analytical decision. They rely on intuition experience. A split second syndrome is this rapid decision making inhibits diagnostic capabilities, resulting in bad decisions, right?
It sounds like you're reading the results of a study again. Is that just a narrative? Can I see it? No, I'm sorry. I just mean before I comment on an article that I haven't seen, is that possible? Yes.
That's possible. Heuristics can be bad decisions, right?
Heuristics and yes.
Jump to conclusions. That's maybe a simplified way to do it.
Again, context. I think people, like I said, if I lay it out, I don't have scientific references, but if I had to say on a daily basis, we may make 100 of heuristic-based decisions, and most of them, if not all of them, are right. And it does happen, whether that failure to go deeper, that we make an error. Certainly.
Mr. Becker talked about the single frame, where the case is coming out, and talking about frame by frame analysis. You don't have a problem with frame by frame analysis.
No, my articles and everything that we talk about specifically focuses on frame by frame analysis is absolutely something you want to do in a case like this.
The point of your testimony is that you should look at the right frame.
Look at the right places in the right frame, track movement between frames back and forth. So there's a myriad of things, yes.
Okay, now we talked about Mr. Bloomfield and Professor Stoughton. Are either of them experts in human factors? Of that order.
No, I'm aware.
Have you heard of Mr. Bloomfield prior to this case?
Bloomfield, no.
You've heard of Professor Stoughton?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing further.
That's a great question. Is it possible? I think so. There's not a scientific experiment on a situation just like this. But my opinion would be that it sounds different than a visual, unless a visual indicator that went with the sound. So like if there was like a small light came on and also there was notice and the sound, then I would be more inclined to say, oh yeah, you should probably hear that sound. But in this case, all this environment is moving very quickly. He's maybe focused on the taser, maybe we don't know where he's looking. We get an orientation looking at the video, maybe where his head's looking, but we don't know where his eyes are looking. So what his focus of attention on in that precise moment, I don't know. I don't know what he was seeing at that moment. So ultimately, yes, I do believe that you can be visually focused on something and not hear the sound in situations.
As officer, are we dealing with random situations daily? Is there any actual possibility of analytical thinking in those stress situations?
Another question. There's a mixture. I mean, we don't just go through all day long in heuristic-based decision-making mode. There's a balance between the analytical and the heuristic. We rely more on the heuristic as things start to speed up, become time pressure under stress. When more time exists, no stress, then we're more likely to engage in analytical decision-making. So there's balance that's going back and forth throughout the day, and in a police officer's life, it depends on what the situation is. If they're at a domestic violence call, and it's already seemed secure, and they're doing interviews and asking questions and complying with a list of policy requirements, then it's very likely that they're thinking analytically. What do I need to do here? We'll check the box, and accomplishing all the tasks. However, when we first got to see, and I think things rapidly evolving, and maybe someone's a little, just to say rapidly evolving, then they're going to go back to their training experience and recognize that situation and start doing very quickly what they need to do until that situation slows down a bit.